For these recipes, all you're going to need is one pot, and of course the ingredients. When it comes to washing dishes, I am not a fan. I mean, I have a dishwasher, but I have to practically wash them before I put them in there. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 3 delicious one-pot meals. There's less mess to clean up, so you have more time to spend with your family. Now let's go ahead and get started. I think you're gonna love this one. It's a Mexican chicken and rice. I've got about 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken here that I've cut into bite-sized pieces. Now you can wait if you want and add this to the chicken after you add the chicken to the pan. But since I already had the chicken in the bowl, I went ahead and added it. Either way, you're going to sprinkle that chicken with 1 packet of taco seasoning. And I did stir that around to get everything coated. Now over to the stove top, in a large pan, I added about a tablespoon of oil and all of that chicken. Now you're just going to spread it all out into an even layer, that way everything cooks evenly. I'll let it cook on that side for a few minutes, then I flipped everything over and let it continue to cook until all that chicken was completely cooked through. Now you're going to remove it to a separate plate and set it aside. And make sure you don't clean out that pan, just leave it like it is. Gives it a little extra flavor. Next, you're going to add in 1 cup of instant rice. And the recipe called for 1 cup of thin salsa. So since mine was the thick and chunky kind, I added in a splash of water to thin it out a little bit. Now you're going to pour in 1 cup of milk, then give that a really good stir. I'll let that come to a simmer, and then you're going to cover it and let it continue to simmer for 5 to 7 minutes. And I did stir it a couple times just to make sure that rice didn't stick to the bottom. And when that's done and that rice is tender, I gave it a little stir before I added in the rest. Now you're going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies and 1 cup of queso cheese dip. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, maybe share it with a friend, and hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Okay, after I got that all mixed in, I'll let it continue to simmer for about 5 more minutes. I stirred it one last time, then I sprinkled over a 1/2 cup of shredded cheese. Now we're adding in that cooked chicken from earlier. I just spread that out a little, and you can probably guess what's coming next. More cheese. About another 1/2 cup. And if you're not big on cheese, you can definitely leave it out and it'll still be delicious. Then I covered it and let it continue to cook until that cheese was melted. And y'all, this was so good. This had so much flavor. The combination of the salsa with the taco seasoning and the rotel and the queso. All I've got to say is this is one dinner you have got to try. I topped mine with some sour cream, and I love that this took less than 30 minutes to make. Now this is a new family favorite. It's a country hamburger skillet. Now here's my sweet little helper over here. She's doing all the supervising. In a large skillet, you're going to start off by adding 1 pound of ground beef. And mine was probably a little too lean. You'll see in a minute here. I also added in 1/2 of a diced onion. Just break that up and let it cook until that ground beef is cooked through. I added a teaspoon of minced garlic. Then I stirred that around for a minute or so, just until that garlic becomes fragrant. By the way, I did get this recipe from my sweet friend Mel. I'll be sure to link her channel below. I added a couple teaspoons of bacon grease. I'll tell you why in a minute here. You'll need about 6 to 8 thinly sliced Yukon Gold potatoes, but you can also use the russet potatoes if that's what you have on hand. Now for this recipe, the grease from the ground beef is what makes those potatoes cook up nice and crispy. So since mine was too lean, that's why I added the bacon grease. I also seasoned those potatoes with nature's seasoning. Mel added Worcestershire sauce to hers, but I wanted to try it with a couple teaspoons of this steak marinade. I used the generic version of the Dell seasoning. We add it to our hamburgers all the time. It is really good. I stirred all that together, then I covered it and let it cook on medium-low for about 15 minutes. After that, you're going to take the lid off, toss everything around. Make sure you bring everything from the bottom up to the top. And you want those potatoes to get a little color on them. You just want to make sure you get everything stirred around really good. That way all those potatoes get nice and tender. Now you're going to put the lid back on and let it continue to cook for 15 more minutes. And I did stir it halfway through. And as if that hamburger and potatoes are not delicious enough, I'm topping it with a 1.5 cups of shredded cheese. I used a combination of cheddar and mozzarella, but you can use any cheese you like here. Now you're going to cover it and just let it continue to cook just until that cheese is melted. And y'all, I am so glad I tried this. It was absolutely amazing. I knew when Mel made it, it was going to be delicious. Her channel is In the Kitchen with Mama Mel. I'll link her channel below, so y'all go check her out. You're going to love her. This was easy to throw together. It was a good hearty meal, and my whole family loved it. And this one was a winner for sure. It's called Manly Cheesy Chicken Pasta. In a large skillet over medium heat, I added a tablespoon of oil, a tablespoon of butter, and half a diced onion. Just saute that until that onion is tender. Now I'm adding in about 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken that I cut into bite-sized pieces. Just stir that around and let it continue to cook until that chicken is no longer pink. Next, you're going to add in 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Stir that around until that garlic becomes fragrant. Then I'm adding in 2 cups of chicken broth, 2 cups of water, 1 can of manwich. The recipe called for the bold variety, but I'm just using the original because that's what I had on hand. Now you're going to add in 3 cups of the penne pasta. I'm sure you can use something like rotini also. Just stir that around and make sure everything is submerged in that liquid. Then I brought it to a boil and let it simmer for 20 to 25 minutes. When that pasta is cooked through and it's tender, you're going to add in about 6 ounces of cubed Velveeta cheese and about 1 cup of shredded cheese. I stirred that around and then I put the lid back on and let it continue to cook until that cheese was completely melted. And you may want to stir it a couple times just to make sure that pasta doesn't stick to the bottom. This was so cheesy and delicious, and I love the flavor of the manwich in there. I love these one-pot meals, and they're quick to make and perfect for those busy weeknights. If you need to make dinner in a hurry, but you still want something delicious, you have got to try this one. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I will see you in the next one.